Good evening. Welcome to the DRB Agenda, Design Review Board meeting of January 12th, 2023. The DRB meeting is now called to order. Please silence all cell phones and at this time. The DRB meeting is broadcast live on Glendale TV, viewable on Spectrum Cable, Channel 6, and AT&T UVerse, Channel 99. Meetings are also streamed live in high definition on the city's webpage, glendaleca.gov/live. On YouTube at youtube.com/myglendale, and on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire devices, using a free app called ScreenWave and choosing Glendale TV from the menu. Meetings are also archived on the city's website for viewing anytime at glendaleca.gov/agendas. For public comments and questions during the meeting, please call 818-937-8100. City staff will be submitting the questions and comments in real time to the appropriate person. Current DRB agendas are available by visiting our website at www.glendaleca.gov. Records of decisions for all projects will be posted online on the Planning Division's website. Please note that any appeals of a case heard today must be filed within 15 calendar days of the DRB decision date. The appeal application is also available online. Roll call. Ms. Lockeroff.
Present.
Mr. Kaskanian.
Present.
Ms. Chagayan.
Present.
Mr. Welsh.
Present.
And Chair Simonian.
Present.
Great. Report regarding the posting of the agenda. The agenda for the January 12th, 2023 regular meeting of the Design Review Board was posted on the city's website on January 5th, 2023, and on the bulletin board outside of City Hall that same date. Approval of minutes. We have one set of minutes to approve from December 8th, 2022. Is there
Are there
a
any
motion
comments?
to approve or?
I don't
Any
have any
comments?
comments. No one else does. I'll move to approve.
Move to approve? Okay.
I'll second.
I'm sorry, who was the second? Okay, thank you. All right. Oral communications. Discussion is limited to items not a part of the agenda. Each speaker is limited to 5 minutes. Design Review Board members may question or respond to the speaker, but there will be no debate or discussion. Are there any speaker cards for items not on the agenda?
No.
Okay, thank you. Then we will roll down to new business. The first item on the agenda is,
Mr. Kiesel?
yeah,
Since it is beginning of the year, just following protocol, we usually elect a new chairperson at the first hearing.
we do normally. It's not on the agenda, so we can't do that.
Okay?
Yeah, we'll wrap it, I'll make a note and we'll wrap it into the next, yeah, the next meeting.
And if we don't have a full quorum next time, then we'll just continue that item until the hearing after, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll write a note, so. All right, so the new business, the first item is 1766 Ciolito, and I'll turn it over to Ms. Azati.
Thank you. So planning staff is actually recommending that this item be continued to the next hearing without further public notice. So that would be January 26th. That would allow staff time to research certain historic issues that have come up in the last few days. So that's what staff is recommending for this item.
Okay. And on that note, we have one speaker card for that project, then we'll just ignore that speaker card for now, and that person could show up at the next hearing.
Correct.
Okay.
That is correct.
And so then I assume we're just going to move down the agenda and then we'll do the Old Phillips project next?
Yeah.
Is that staff's
Sounds good.
preference?
Yeah.
Okay.
Alrighty, good evening and thank you. This is case number PDR 2111714-B. This is for the project site located at 924 Old Phillips Road. This is actually the second time this project will be before the DRB. This was last reviewed in April of 2022, and the board's decision was to return the project for redesign with 11 conditions. And today we're here reviewing the current proposal where the project scope remains relatively the same as far as the height and the square footage, but the overall design has been revised to comply with the board's conditions. The project site is a 9,250 square foot lot. It's located on the southwest side of Old Phillips Road in the R1R Single Family Hillside Zone. The site was originally developed in 1967 with a one-story, approximately 2,200 square foot single-family house with an attached two-car garage. Just to briefly touch on the project's history, in April 2020, a building permit was issued for some interior remodeling, and a subsequent stop work order was issued because the scope of the project was, they exceeded the scope of permitted work. Then again, in August 2020, a building permit was issued for interior remodeling as well as an addition that was eligible for an exemption. During construction, they exceeded the permitted scope of work and ended up demoing more than 50% of the house. That's why we're here today. They are no longer considered an addition. It's considered a new single-family house and needs DRB's review. During the last DRB meeting, the board's decision to return for redesign had 11 conditions. A copy of the record of decision is included as an attachment with the staff report for reference. To summarize, overall, the conditions were related to reducing the mass and scale of the project and visual impacts to the neighboring properties, as well as potential privacy impacts. There were also conditions related to the detailing of the project, specifically the paving materials, light fixtures, as well as the doors for both the garage and the entry, and the balcony railings. Overall, the site planning remains relatively unchanged, with the new footprint cited on the lot, similar to the last proposal and similar to the original building footprint that was there. The attached two-car garage is consistent with the original condition of the property as well as the surrounding neighborhood. The applicant has revised the drawing to address conditions related to the rear retaining wall as well as the paving materials. This had come up at the last hearing, specifically the retaining wall at the rear. So it's an existing 3-foot wall, and the proposal will be to extend it or legalize the extension of 2 feet and then cover it with a stone veneer. This will be ultimately addressed in plan check with building and safety and planning, and they'll have to get necessary approvals for that. And the paving materials are noted on the plans. They're just, decorative paving stones, and the design is appropriate. The landscaping plan remains relatively unchanged. New drought-tolerant landscaping is proposed throughout the project site. The first floor size and layout remains relatively the same with the exception of the staircase location, and this is based off of DRB's conditions from last time. They've relocated the stairs more towards the interior of the space and away from the street front. That also resulted in the stair tower being eliminated from the design. Based on DRB's conditions at the last hearing, the second floor layout, which is this is the biggest change in the project, it has been redesigned. It's also been shifted more towards the center of the house and away from the adjacent neighbor. The stair relocation is highlighted, as well as the reduction in the sizes of the balcony at the rear. And I've also kind of highlighted this balcony at the front in red. That was originally part of the proposal. It has been omitted entirely from the design. So this slide is comparing the roof plan for the project with the previous design. The changes address several of the conditions from the last hearing, including conditions to reduce the porch entry height, shifting the second floor mass, and integrating the roof forms better. The current proposal has incorporated a hipped roof design throughout, where the original proposal had a combination of hipped and gable roof forms. This slide compares the current and original proposal, and it really highlights a lot of the changes to the project. As you can see, the entry porch height and the piers have been reduced, and the entry porch lines up with the fascia. The stair tower's gone, and the shift in the second floor helps provide massing relief to the adjacent neighbors. The garage door design also no longer features the reflective panels, and it will be a frosted glass instead. This slide compares front and rear elevations for the project to show the changes, specifically the balcony at the rear. One of the DRB conditions from last time had to do with the railing design to be more traditional. That discussion was focused a lot on what's visible from the street. So the current proposal, this balcony won't be visible from the street, so they're proposing to maintain that railing design. And these drawings just compare the original and current proposal for the side elevations. Based off privacy concerns brought up at the last hearing, many of the second floor windows have been omitted from the design. So as it relates to lighting and the entry door, those were also conditions of approval. The applicants revised the elevations and identified all the light fixture locations, and they've minimized the amount of lighting required. They've also provided an image of what the intent for the entry door is for this project. That concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions. Staff is recommending approval of the project with no conditions, and I believe last time we received a lot of public comment. At this time, we haven't received anything from the surrounding neighbors.
Thank you so much for that presentation. Do we have any questions for staff at this point? No. So with that, we'll go ahead and open the public portion. Mr. Khodadadi, welcome.
Good evening, board. My name is Nari Khodadadi from Design NRK. I'm the project designer. I think Vista pretty much pinpointed all the conditions from last time that we did meet. I'm here if you have any questions, concerns, I can answer them.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for the applicant? No? Well, with that, we'll go ahead and...
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see the hand go up.
Sorry, I have one minor, no, that's all right. I have one minor question. Regarding on the second floor, if you look at the front north elevation of the project, on the second floor in the right corner, you have this kind of a jog that's occurring as a means to access the bedroom there. Did you look at having that facade being just flat across there? I was just curious if you had considered that in your design iterations.
Is it where the linen closet is on the second floor?
So on the, correct, the linen closet,
Oh.
yeah, correct.
Just squaring it off that corner?
Yeah, squaring it off so that it was just one continuous roof. Did you guys look at any options that allowed that to occur?
We didn't, but
Okay.
we can.
Okay.
We just wanted that break from like,
Right,
you know, being further back from the front walls, so kind
I
of
see.
stepping it back.
I see.
And then the roof does the same. We have a hip roof, so it just jogs back.
And then my second question is, again, on that elevation, there's one area on the elevation where the stone does not continue across. So that's, again, the front north elevation. And I was just, there's just one section kind of in the middle to the right of the front entry that doesn't have stone and veneer. And I was just curious as, what the design intent was there and why
That,
that's not included.
that section actually pops out a little
Right.
bit, so we just thought, it'll be a stucco wall with the larger windows. I thought, it'd be too busy having the stone, larger wall, or larger windows with the sill, so we just kept it at stucco.
Okay,
So it's more like a bay window kind
It's
of a
like,
thing.
it's like a bay window, right?
okay. Thank you.
Board Member Lockhart, do we have any other questions? No? So we'll go ahead and close the public portion for now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Who's the only speaker?
He's the only card that I have. Unless are there others in the audience that would like to speak on this case?
No callers either?
No callers.
Okay. Board Member Lockhart, did you have any thoughts on that linen closet corner?
I just I felt that it would be, I always love articulation on the front facade, but I did think it would be even a cleaner design if it was squared off there. And it would accentuate the linearity of this home, which I think is quite nice.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. I see. Okay. All right, well, on that note, do you want to perhaps go first and just continue your thoughts?
Sure, yeah, that was going to be the one condition that I was going to recommend and see what the rest of the board felt on that corner. And the other item was just the continuation of that stone, because when I was looking at this, the linear nature of the house was so nice that I thought it would accentuate that as well. So that's all. Overall, I would say you really addressed all of the conditions quite well. You gave breathing room to the neighbor by shifting the massing over. And I like how you've integrated the roof lines. I think it now is a more cohesive design. And yeah, I support this project with just the one or two conditions that I just mentioned. Thank you. Thanks for all your work on that.
Thank you, Board Member Lockhart. Board Member Chagayan?
Yes, I concur with my fellow board member. I appreciate the written response and addressing all of the conditions that we had last time, especially since there were, I guess, 11 of them, and it was quite a lot. I think the design overall is very beautiful. It's much more pleasing and balanced, well balanced than it was last time, and especially with the addressing of the second story patio where it was very awkward and long and linear last time. I think hopefully the homeowners are pleased with this iteration as well, and I'm in support of the project as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Walsh?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I generally agree as well. I think that you really addressed all of the conditions that were placed. I think that the suggestion to extend that out, I think, is probably a good one. I think that's the need for extra articulation is not really, and it just makes the roof form much more complicated. So I think it'll be a cleaner look if you do just extend that across. You gain a few extra feet, maybe a walk-in closet for that bedroom or something. And I agree with Board Member Chagayan about the patio in the back and removing the front patio and reorganizing how the patio. I think it's a much better design. I think they'll appreciate the use of that balcony much more, being right off the master bedroom, having the wall backing it as opposed to being much more exposed. Definitely a nod to the neighbors because they were very concerned about it being a big party roof deck up there. So I think that all of the efforts done to do that, I think, has led to an improved design. So good job on that. So I'm in support of the project as well. I'm not so sure about the rock on the facade. I like the idea that it's sort of a bay window and it could be given its own sort of treatment. So I'm I'd be okay with it, but I didn't feel as strongly about that. So. Okay.
Thank you, Board Member Walsh. Board Member Cascañan?
Thank you. Overall, I really like the design of the house. And like our board members are saying, I think you addressed all the points that were previously addressed, so appreciate that. But yeah, I'm in support of this project.
Thank you. I concur with my colleagues. I wasn't present the first time this project came around, but comparing the original submittal and the current submittal, I could see that a lot of verticality has been removed and the project is much more horizontal. And it has a very proportional feel to it. And so I feel as though all the comments that were made were adhered to and it made a big difference. So I support the project with the 2 conditions that were echoed. I'd support the project as well. And so perhaps we could have a reading of the new conditions that have popped up and move the project along.
Okay, for the stone siding, that's going to be, there's a consensus that will be a condition, not a consideration? I've heard consensus from a couple of people, I just want to be sure, okay? So the conditions would be at the second floor along the north elevation to extend the linen room area to line up with bedroom number 3. And then. Linen closet, yes, sorry. And then at the front elevation, at the dining room bay window, to continue the stone siding for the length of the front facade.
I'll move to approve the project with those 2 conditions.
I second.
Board Member Lockereff,
Yes.
Board Member Kaskanian,
Yes.
Board Member Chagayan,
Yes.
Board Member Welch,
Yes.
and Chair Simonia.
Yes.
Thank you.
That was, yeah, a little quicker. Mr. Kiesel, do you need a few moments to set up the next
Give
project?
me just a couple, and I
Okay.
want to adjust.
Do you want us to go, just to stay put versus going on into
If you
recess?
all need to leave for a second, we can
No.
break for longer. It'll just take me a second, and I want to.
I am not.
Oh.
Oh, did it fall?
You're not ready, Barbara?
Too many in front of it?
So are they all stacked? That
Yeah,
you
it looks like
literally
you're-
just pull one out?
Well, normally we don't actually stick it, this one was, and so you can't like, because we know we usually change these out. so,
Right.
I don't know. Let me see if I can find the clip.
No worries. I could be Betty for the.
There's a, here, we have a clip here.
I'm ready whenever you all are. All right. Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the Design Review Board. The next item this evening is case number PDR 2211-743. It's a review of a proposal to construct a new 2-story, 2,988 square foot house with an attached 2-car garage. The residence is located on the south side of Vista Drive and located on an 11,500 square foot lot that is zoned R1R, floor area ratio District 1. The existing house on the site and the attached garage, the house being 2,226 square feet, and the attached garage, both built in 1949, will be demolished as part of the project. The existing swimming pool, however, on the site will remain. There's also a new, just under 500 square foot, sort of pool house patio cover proposed. So this is the location map. The subject site is really at the terminus of Vista Drive and is adjacent to Brand Park here. I've got a couple different aerial views. The subject site has the sort of the red bullet here, and you can see the house, and you can see sort of the outline of the pool. This other aerial is provided by the applicant and shows the outline of the proposed residence with the pool. Vista Drive is here, and the Brand Park is here. A couple different, or one street view of the project. This really encompasses the whole length of the existing house. This is looking up Vista Drive to its terminus. So you can see Brand Park sort of at the edge right here, the existing garage here, and the house kind of wraps. So this is what's out there now. This is what is proposed for demolition. The site plan, the site planning for the project is generally acceptable. As mentioned in the staff report, the proposed second story of the residence is at a lower elevation of the site, which is inconsistent with the design guidelines. However, given that the site and the surrounding neighborhood really is just a gentle slope, and there's a two-story residence immediately adjacent to the proposed two-story portion of the house, staff really doesn't believe that it will be problematic. The current design will be problematic. And then similarly, while the majority of the neighborhood houses do have rear detached garages, and the proposed residence includes a attached front garage, again, staff doesn't feel particularly concerned about that, given that the existing house is designed that way, and it really is at the terminus of this street and won't really impact the feel of the overall neighborhood. We do have some comments on landscaping. Before I do that, though, let me go over the site planning. Vista Drive is here again, Brand Park here. The new residence, while it's totally new, really does follow a similar site plan to the existing house. It addresses the gentle curve of Vista in this area. So the house is right here, the existing pool in this area, and the proposed pool house is here. So a couple comments with regard to the landscape plans. As mentioned in the staff report, the plants proposed are generally drought tolerant and complementary to the residents. However, the bonsai dwarf fescue that they have proposed as part of the ground cover doesn't really appear to be drought tolerant, and staff is recommending that be substituted for something that is drought tolerant. And then the second comment we had was we thought that 2 canopy trees should be installed within the front yard. I think currently there are palm trees proposed, and staff thought that, you know, a tree that provided shade may be appropriate for the front yard. So those 2 changes are recommended to be conditions of approval. Like site planning, the mass and scale of the project, staff believes, is appropriate. The design effectively utilizes both vertical and horizontal elements to provide an appropriate scale to the proposed residence. The entry is prominent. You know where the entry is without it being monumental. And then, as I mentioned before, while the 2-story portion of the residence is located at a lower elevation, staff feels that that placement is appropriate. Let me just go over the elevations while I'm talking about mass and scale. This is the front elevation, what you would see from Vista. So the garage is here, and then the house kind of wraps around. It's a little bit, because of the angle, it's a little bit misleading. It's hard to accurately sort of get the picture. This is the elevation that you would see if you were in Brand Park. So it's sort of a side rear elevation. The south elevation is really if you were in their backyard. And then the west elevation is adjacent to their neighbor. I've also got a couple renderings from the applicant that I'll go over. This might be easier to sort of understand. You'll see Vista Drive at the bottom of the page, or at the bottom of the slide, and you're going up Vista, and the garage is here. This is the two-story residence that I was speaking of, where you've got a two-story existing residence. We don't believe that the two-story massing right adjacent to it is going to cause an issue. So that's a portion of the front elevation. This is also the front elevation, and you can see the garage in this area. This is the entry to the house. And sort of here's another rendering, kind of a combination of both. Some floor plans. Again, just to orient you, Vista Drive is here, Brand Park is here, the garage is here, and sort of the living space of the house curves a bit to address Vista Drive. The second floor, again, just in this area. This is the one-story portion of the house. Roof plan and landscape plans. The palm trees that I was speaking of are in this area. So concluding with design and detailing, staff believes that design and detailing of the house are also appropriate. They are proposing high-quality material, including smooth stucco, wood siding, porcelain tile, and some metal paneling. The application of the various cladding material should be restudied just to make sure that it terminates appropriately at inside corners. For the most part, I think it does, but I think there are some areas that I looked at that are like, I'm not sure. So we added that as a suggested condition. And there was also a condition on the rear balcony. The rear balcony is large and could pose some privacy concerns. As you may know, we need to look at that. We need to look at balconies over 25 square feet in area for potential privacy issues. This balcony is over 25 square feet, and let me maybe go back to the second floor plan. And it is in this area. So it's adjacent to two of the bedrooms. And again, for orientation, this is their backyard. So staff is recommending as a condition of approval that this balcony either be reduced in size to less than 25 square feet, which would be, a fairly significant reduction because it is a fairly large balcony. Or that it be set back further from the interior property line. So this area be set in more, because I believe it's right at the minimum setback area. So set it further in from the interior property line than is currently proposed. And also do something to reorient it such that really the view focuses on the subject backyard as opposed to potentially the yard to I guess it would be sort of the southwest, the two-story house. So those were the 4 conditions. Let me just finish up with the materials. Oh, and I have a slide of the pool house, I'm sorry. So these are the materials. You've got the stucco, the wood siding, porcelain tile, metal panel, and the glass. This is what they're proposing for the garage door. And then real quickly is the floor plan and elevations for the little pool house that they're proposing. So the conditions of approval are here. I can read through them, or I can just conclude. Okay. Thank you.
Just, do you have any more specificity about the cladding materials, where they should be restudied? Because I didn't particularly see any examples where I thought that might be necessary, so I was wondering if you had any particular areas.
Yeah, I'll have to look at the elevations again.
Okay.
So, sometimes it's just, particularly because of the angles, it's hard to determine whether they actually terminate at inside corners. I think actually the I think it may have been the area of the porcelain tile to make sure that it wraps this way versus stops at the flat facade.
Okay.
Certainly I can work with the architect to make sure that that's done, or if it's already done, that's great. And he can actually come up and say,
Okay.
yes, Roger is wrong.
Okay,
I've done it all.
we'll ask. Okay.
I do have a question as well. So I wanted to just clarify. So you're saying that the project doesn't necessarily comply with design guidelines in that it doesn't step with the topography. However, because of the unique nature of the site and the house adjacent, that you feel that this design is appropriate in the direction that the massing is occurring. I just wanted to clarify that with you.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
I think the hillside design guidelines in particular envision a much steeper slope. This is a pretty gradual incline.
Okay,
So, yeah, you're correct.
thank you.
Mr. Kiesel, I actually had a question on that same topic. Just looking at the existing survey, it seems as though the two-story portion is at a lower elevation. And so wouldn't it make sense to have the two-story portion at a lower elevation, starting at a lower elevation, and so the building mass would be lower versus placing the two-story on the higher elevation, which would increase mass and bulk? And so that's why I was, but I think it's a moot point anyways, because the two-story is immediately adjacent to an existing two-story. But I was just kind of perplexed on that comment, just because, interpreting the design guidelines, I would say if a two-story portion is going to be placed within a project, it would be better to place it at a lower elevation. Thereby, the overall mass would be reduced of the project.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. I think where it comes into play is with steeper slopes, where you have terracing of, well, most houses are not one story in the hillsides, they're two-story, and they terrace back. So as the hillside gets higher, the house gets higher and terraces back. That's sort of what I was trying to get at.
I see. Okay. And, well, I think my second question is probably better addressed by the applicant, but thank you.
Sure.
Board members, do we have any other questions for staff at this point? No? So with that, we'll go ahead and open the public portion. I have one speaker card from the applicant, Mr. Alec Zarifian. Welcome.
Good evening. board members. My name is Alex Zarifian. I'm the architect, but Alex Zarifian Architect is my firm's name. I'm very excited to be here. Thank you for your time and effort in reviewing our project. I just wanted to talk to you about the intent of the project. When we first visited Vista Drive, we felt an extreme level of serenity. Maybe it's because of the park, the neighborhood. It's just all of a sudden time slows down. It's amazing. I mean, you probably have been there, but so right then we realized that our task would be to capture that feeling within the house. So if you notice, I think I wish I had made a model of the house to show you how our intent was to basically capture that space and let the street come in and then sort of pass right through the house. And the house is built with very simple planes for the same fact that we wanted to basically, we felt that the space is there, we just have to capture it. So we kind of really gave it a lot of thought in terms of making it simple. That was our way of trying to connect to the context. And I'm not sure if you noticed in one of the renderings that wasn't shown actually, but the house intends to go away. It's not about itself. It's about capturing the environment and connecting to the nature. That's all I wanted to say. I'm sure we can accommodate and clarify all the detailing because I wasn't aware, but maybe Roger has something that I can, talk to him about. But yeah, I don't feel that there's anything that we cannot accommodate to make things work. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If you have any questions.
In regards, and maybe I'll just go first on it. In regards to staff's condition about reducing the size of the balcony in the rear, which was kind of either reducing it to about 25 square feet or moving it farther away from the setback, which would maybe go closer to the other bedroom. Do you have any thoughts on that before the board starts to deliberate?
Sure. 25 square feet is a very small balcony. But I think by setting it back from that edge properly, there's a way to make it work. And then maybe by reducing the depth somewhat, the width of the... not going to 25 feet because it will be so small, it might look odd actually for the house to have such a small balcony. But I think we can make it work to address the issue of privacy.
And have you considered maybe having a more of a solid wall at the end or orienting it away from the neighbor more towards the park?
My reservation about the solid wall is that it always become a leaf collector corner. When you have a corner that has no place for the wind, it gets every piece of leaf that you imagine right there. but I think we're open to suggestions to understand. I don't clearly understand exactly how that wall might be, but I'm sure there will be a way to address the issue.
Okay. You have a very specific style. That's why I wanted to kind of start off with those questions to get your idea as to what solutions you may have had for staff's comments.
I'm trying to imagine exactly how, for example, the wall idea might be.
Well, you still have time. Maybe we'll have some more questions come your way, and you could maybe think about it some more.
Sure.
Do the other board members have questions at this point?
I do.
Mr. Gayan?
Yes. On the west elevation, you have what looks like a high wall just outside of the family room.
Yes.
What's the intent of that corner?
That's basically where I'm trying to remember, the high wall that is right outside the door.
Right.
That's for not keeping the trash, but some of the yard equipment
Equipment, okay.
might be stored there, so
Okay.
that it's covered and not seen from outside.
Okay, because it basically ends with the first level, right? It doesn't
Yes.
go, okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
I had a question about this condition number 4 that talked about the materials and where they articulate. And I don't know if you know exactly where Mr. Kiesel was referring to them, because I think that and I may be wrong, but it may be that wall, that side wall of the kitchen leading up, where it's especially in the elevation, in the rendering, you can see that it's a dark plane that rises up. And it just is on that one surface, and it doesn't turn the corner or anything like that. Can you speak to what your thinking is in
Yeah,
terms of?
Would you be able to show, or maybe is there a slide that can?
Is there a rendering that we could tell Mr. Kiesel to put up, Board Member Walsh?
Is, yeah, the next one up, 13. That's,
Maybe this
yes.
right here.
correct. I suspect that was what you, Mr.
So
Kiesel was
that
talking about.
wall, yeah, and I think that wall comes, the material comes out, turns, shows the thickness of the wall, and there's a joint that the two materials come together.
Okay, so there's some kind of a little reveal there that
Yes.
separates the materials
Yes.
at that point?
So
Okay.
like
I
right-
think it protrudes out is what
Yeah.
he's saying.
Oh, it
So
protrudes
the-
out. I didn't see that in the plan, but okay.
Yeah, the thicknesses are always sort of
Nicer if it
accentuated.
protruded out, wouldn't it?
Okay.
So that's right.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you. I think I understand.
Yeah, in the plan, it does not showing protruding out.
No, it's not protruding out, but it's one of those details that once you get close, you see it, and the wall
You'll see a
is-
reveal.
Yeah, the reveal is very important.
And then just one more question. The front balcony, is that intended to be a shared balcony with the bedroom,
With the two bedrooms,
2 bedrooms?
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah. It's not totally necessary to share with the other bedroom, but since my client was interested for the other bedroom also to have a chance to step out, so we kind of let it be shared.
Got it.
I don't so much have a concern about the vertical fence in the front. I think it is, adds a nice flair to it. But I was wondering if there was some rhyme or reason about kind of the different spacing of it.
Oh, sure. As I said, we were trying to make the house to be not about itself and blend in. And this was one of the ways to sort of mimic the forest quality of the park and bring it to the house. So as if you're looking at it, the tree trunks and the fins, which is a way of creating a little bit of privacy, kind of layering the building, but also let the building pick something from the environment and own it and becomes part of the landscape.
I see.
So it's a randomness of the trees that reflect on the
Okay.
at least the intent.
Thank you for that insight.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
sure.
I was wondering about that. Do the other board members have any other questions for the architect?
No,
Are there others? Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much.
thank you.
Are there others in the audience that would like to speak on this case? No? Mr. Kiesel, do we have any callers on this case?
We do not have any callers.
Okay. With that, I'll go ahead and close the public portion because there's really no need for a rebuttal. Board Member Welsh, do you mind starting us off?
With pleasure, Mr. Chair, thank you. So I'll start off by saying that I really like the design. I think that, I visited the site location, and I can definitely appreciate what you're talking about in terms of the particular setting. And you know, having read the staff report and, you know, seeing that there is a slight slope, and yes, normally we would, you know, normally see the massing more towards the upper portion. But I think in this particular setting, with its proximity to the park, I think it works really well, because what it does is, as you're at that intersection, as you're looking at this property and you see this open vista into the park, what the design does is it sort of steps away from that and sort of opens up that vista. And so I really appreciate that. I think it's actually well considered. And, you know, as is, I think, the overall design itself, you know, the stepping away from the park to give, you know, that respect towards that open space. The more natural, asymmetrical design of it, I really like it a lot. I understand what Mr. Kiesel was talking about with that singular wall of that dark material rising up, but I really like it in the design. I think it works very well. I like the wood fins. I like the randomness of the pattern. All of those things I think work really well. So I like the project as it is. I'd be happy to you know, peel away some of the conditions to keep the design more intact, because I think you did an exceptional job here and I really like it. So those are my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you. I do agree with my board member as well. The overall design of the house is really nice. I actually drove by the house earlier, and when I first saw the house, I realized Brand Park was in front of me, but I do like what you did with the design of having the two-story and then it just, you know, going into the park. Overall, the design of the house is really nice. I do think, though, in regards to the two trees, the canopy trees, I personally don't think it's a necessity, because I would like to see the design of the house come out more, and I'm worried that if you were to put a tree like that, it might cover or anything along those lines. So I don't think that's a condition that is necessary, but it's up to our board members if what they think. But overall, I support this project.
Thank you. Board Member Lockeroff?
I concur with my fellow board members. It's a great design. I agree that the detailing, I'd love to see it stay as is. Regarding the balcony specifically, I do think that a shift would be a good idea rather than a reduction. You don't necessarily need to reduce it. It would be great to be able to have this view of the park and everything. I do think the idea of some kind of privacy screen is a great one, and perhaps you could consider integrating a screen that relates to the screen that's at the front of the house. So then it's a cohesive and also allows the wind to come through like you were describing. I really appreciated your goal of connecting with nature, and that's evident as my fellow board members mentioned. I love that you can see all the big trees through the lower portion, and so I can see why you cited this, you know, not in accordance with design guidelines, but it does suit the site very well. So yeah, the balcony screen was the one condition that I would recommend, and again, peeling away a couple of the conditions. The trees at the front of the house, I always like more trees in general on a property because it's just great for the environment. But I think in some ways I agree that it is lovely to be able to actually see these gigantic trees in Brand Park behind there. So maybe more trees are good, but off to the side or something. So let's see. I think that's all of the conditions that I wanted to consider. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Lockeroff. Board Member Chagayan?
Thank you. I concur with my fellow board members. I think it's a very beautiful home. I appreciate the simplicity. I love that the care taken into the site planning, that you didn't just plop a rectangular house like on this very specific, unique site, and you sort of mimicked what is there currently in the design, at least in the layout. But of course, the materials are, I think, beautiful and very well balanced. The only comment I had was on that high wall down right outside the family room. I feel like it's too high. If it is just for, you know, storing some equipment, this one right here, and not really serving any other purpose, I think you could drop that down a little and, you know, take advantage of maybe add some more windows. You have a lot of clear-story windows going on around the house. Would be nice for that family room. Overall, I'm in support of the project. I think it's lovely. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Chagayan. Overall, I support the project as well. I really appreciate your kind of poetic approach to the design. It is a very beautiful setting, and it is a very unique setting. It's not often that one gets to design a home right next to Brant Park. And as Board Member Welsh indicated, it's nice how the massing of the house is situated in such a manner that that vista is created. That's a good comment. I like the simplicity of the house. I like the materials of the house. I think it's well designed, well put forth. I do concur with the board members that it does make sense to peel away some of the conditions as well, which we could go into in a moment. But overall, I support the project wholeheartedly. And so with that, Mr. Kiesel, it seems as though of the 4 conditions, I didn't hear any issues with condition number 1, which was the ground cover.
Right.
And
Correct.
it
So
seems,
keep
yes,
that one?
keep that one.
Okay.
It seems as though there was overall consensus to delete conditions number 2 and 4.
Yep, okay.
I'm sorry, which,
The 2 trees.
The cladding material.
we relocate the trees off to the side, or I don't know, I think, again, I'm,
Into a consideration.
a consideration, that would be great.
So we'll make number 2 a consideration.
Right.
And condition number 3, I concur with Board Member Lockeroff, because it kind of plays in with some of my thoughts as well, which is instead of reducing the square footage of the balcony, situate some sort of vertical fins, much in line with what's happening in the front facade, as a form of privacy between this home and the existing 2-story to the adjacent 2-story.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Do you want the vertical fins to be requirement, or just provide some screening and let the applicant decide what it is, or do you want to be more specific? You know, take the vertical screens at the front, or vertical fins at the front, and propose a design at the edge of that balcony
That resonated with me as far as the vertical fins are concerned, but I'm certainly open to suggestions. I don't feel that strongly about it.
I think certainly a nod, at least, towards them is called for, you know, so
Okay.
just for the holistic nature of the design, I think that would be appropriate, so.
Okay, all right.
And then there was one more new condition that Board Member Chagayan indicated, which was lowering the height of that one wall that is meant to screen some equipment.
Yes.
I concur
I
with that.
concur, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so that is a condition. The vertical fins at the rear balcony to provide additional privacy is a condition.
Which would be replacing condition number 3.
Condition 4, right?
Condition
Oh,
3.
3. Oh, 4,
Yeah,
sorry.
condition 3
you're
is
right.
regarding the balcony.
Yep.
Okay, just for clarification's sake, the location of the balcony at this remains the same? They don't need to push it in?
Oh, that's a good point.
Or, it's up to you.
I think pushing it in,
I think it could be pushed in
Would
a little
work,
bit.
yeah.
I think that there's
Okay.
space to do that, and
Yeah.
it would still be a decent size.
Okay.
but not,
so-
not, I wouldn't say make it 25 square
Yeah, no,
feet,
no.
like,
Right, that was
I think keeping it, linear and,
Yeah, just peeling it away from the corner of the house a bit,
Right.
I think would be fine with the additional screening material, I think would be fine.
I agree. This is in an R1R zone,
It is, yeah.
so it's a, 10-foot interior setback at the moment? It's right at the 10 feet? I think you
It
indicated. it's
is,
a-
yeah.
So maybe a few more feet setback?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, it is. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
because currently it's in line with that high wall on the
Right.
lower level, right? So, right? So if you were to push it with the second story and align it, I think that makes more sense, yeah.
Yeah, if you reduce the height of that wall, then it makes sense to push that in a little bit. Okay,
Yep.
that's fine.
So condition number 3 will be restated so that an additional setback of the balcony will occur to align it with the second story building line and incorporate some sort of a vertical fin privacy screening on the side facing the 2-story, something like that.
Okay. And then the current condition number 2 becomes a consideration regarding the canopy trees.
Correct.
Great. Do I have a motion to approve the project with the conditions?
Board members?
I move to approve it with the stated conditions.
I second that.
Great. Okay, a motion was made to approve the project with conditions. This will be a roll call. Ms. Chagayan,
Yes.
Ms. Lockroff,
Yes.
Mr. Kaskanian,
Yes.
Mr. Welsh,
Yes.
and Mr. Simonian.
Yes.
Great. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we are down to Community Development Department updates. We have none at this point.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
I'll move to we adjourn.
Great.
Adjourned?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.